We are honored in being permitted to welcome your majesty. I guess the object of your majesty's visit, your wishes have been attended to. The execution has taken place.
Oh, so you've had an execution, have you?
Yes, the coroner has just handed me his certificate.
I am the coroner.
And this is a certificate of death. At Titipu, in the presence of the Lord High Chancellor, the Lord Chief Justice, the Supreme Court, the Secretary of State, and the Lord Mayor, and the groom of the upstairs front.
They were all present, your majesty. I counted them myself.
A very good house. Wish I'd been there for the performance.
A tough fellow he was, too. A man of gigantic strength. Yes, his struggles were terrific. Yes, it was really a remarkable scene. Yes.
Describe it.
The criminal cried as he dropped him down in a state of wild alarm. With a frightful, frantic, fearful frown, I bared my big right arm. I seized him by his little pigtail, and on his knees fell he. As he squirmed and struggled and gurgled and guggled, I drew my snickers. My snickers. Oh, never shall I forget the cry, the shriek that shrieked at me, as I gnashed my teeth, when from its sheath I drew my snickers.
We know him well, we cannot tell not true or groundless tales. He always tries to utter lies, and every time he fails.
He shivered and shook as he gave the sign for the stroke he didn't deserve. When all of a sudden his eye met mine, and it seemed to brace his nerve, for he nodded his head and kissed his hand and whistled an eddy as the saber true cut cleanly through his cervical vertebrae. His vertebrae. When man's afraid and beautiful maid is a cheering sight to see, and it's so I'm glad that moment sad was soothed by sight of me.
You can't assail with truth, with pride agrees. The day's exact, the faultless fact amounts to our disease.
Now, though you'd have said that head was dead, for its owner head was he. It stood on its neck with a smile well bred, and bowed 3 times to me. It was none of your impudent offhand nods, but as humble as could be. For it clearly knew the deference due to a man of pedigree. And it's oh my vow, that deathly bow was a touching sight to see. Though trunkless yet, it couldn't forget the deference due to me.
His lofty youth receives the truth whenever he finds it pays. And in this case, it all took place exactly as he says. Exactly as he says.
we are here on an entirely different matter. A year ago, my son, heir to the throne of Japan, bolted from our imperial court.
Indeed. Had he any reason to be dissatisfied with his position?
None whatever. On the contrary, I was going to marry him, and yet he fled.
I am surprised that he should have fled from one so lovely.
That's not true.
No.
You hold that I am not beautiful because my face is plain. But you know nothing. You are still unenlightened. Learn then that it is not in the face alone that beauty is to be sought. My face is unattractive.
It is.
But I have a left shoulder blade that is a miracle of loveliness. People come for miles to see it. My right elbow holds a fascination that few can resist.
Allow me.
It is on view Tuesdays and Fridays on presentation of visiting card. As for my circulation, it is the largest in the world.
And yet he fled.
And is now masquerading in your town, disguised as a second trombone.
A second trombone?
Yes! Would it be troubling you too much if I asked you to fetch him here? He goes by the name of...
Nanki-Poo!
Nanki-Poo!
It's quite easy. It's rather difficult, yes. In point of fact, he's gone abroad. Yes.
Gone abroad?
Yes.
His address?
Montrose?
What's the matter?
See here, his name, Nanki-Poo, beheaded this morning. Oh, where shall I find another? Where shall I find another?
Oh, dear, 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 this is tiresome. My poor fellow, in your anxiety to carry out the wishes, you have beheaded the heir to the throne of Japan!
I beg to offer an unqualified apology.
I desire to associate myself with that expression of regret.
We really hadn't the least notion.
Well, of course you hadn't. How could you? Well, come, don't distress about it. The fault is not yours. If a man of exalted rank chooses to disguise himself as a second trombone, he must take the consequence. It distresses me to see you carry on so. I've no doubt he deserved all he got.
We are infinitely obliged to your majesty.
Very much obliged, Your Majesty.
Very much obliged, Your Majesty.
Obliged? Not a bit, don't mention it. Oh, how could you tell?
Well, of course, we couldn't tell who the gentleman really was.
It wasn't written on his forehead, you know.
It might have been written on his American Express card, but he probably left home without it.
I forget the punishment for compassing the death of the heir apparent.
Punishment?
Oh, yes. Something lingering. With boiling oil or something like that, I fancy. I think boiling oil occurs in it, but I'm not quite sure. Something humorous, though. And lingering with boiling oil or melted lead. Well, come, don't fret. I'm not the least bit angry.
If Your Majesty will accept our assurance, we really had no idea.
Of course.
I had no notion of it whatsoever.
I wasn't there.
Well, that's just the pathetic part of it. The fool of an act states, compassing the death of the the air of panic. Not a word about a mistake.
No.
Or not knowing.
No.
Or having no notion.
No.
Or not being there.
No.
There should be, of course.
Yes.
But there isn't.
Oh.
But that's the slovenly way in which these acts are written. However, cheer up. It'll all be taken care of. I'll have it amended at the next session.
Oh.
Now, about your executions. Will after luncheon suit you? Can it wait until then?
Oh, yes.
We can wait till then.
After luncheon it is then.
I don't want any lunch.
Oh, come. I am truly sorry for all of you. But it's an unjust world. And virtue is triumphant only in theatrical performances. See how the fakes their gifts and long. For A is happy, B is not. But B is worthy, I dare say, of more prosperity than A.
Is B more worthy?
I should say he's worth a great deal more than A.
Yet A is happy, oh so happy, laughing, ha ha, chaffing, ha ha, nectar quaffing, ha ha ha, ever joyous, ever gay. Happy, undeserving A, ever joyous, ever gay. Happy, undeserving A. If I were fortune, which I'm not, B should enjoy A's happy lot, and A should die in misery. That is assuming I am B. For should A perish, that should be, of course, assuming I am B. B should be happy, oh so happy, laughing, ha-ha, chaffing, ha-ha, nectar puffing, ha-ha-ha, but condemned to die is he, wretched meritorious B. But condemned to die is he, wretched meritorious me.
Well, a fine mess you've gotten us into with your nodding head and your deference to your man pedigree.
Merely corroborative detail intended to lend artistic verisimilitude to an otherwise bald and unconvincing narrative.
Corroborative detail indeed, corroborative sticks!
Well, when you're just as bad as he is, what with your catching his eye and his whistling in the air. Oh, but that's so like you, you must put in your oar.
Well, what about you and your big right arm?
Yes, and your slippery
Well, never mind that now. But there's only one thing to be done. Nanky Poo hasn't started yet. He must come to life again at once. Ah, here he comes. Nanky Poo! I've good news for you. You're reprieved.
Oh, but it's too late. I'm a dead man, and I'm off on my honeymoon.
Nonsense. A terrible thing has just happened. It seems you're the son of the Mikado.
Yes, but that happened some time ago.
Is this a time for airy persiflage? Your father is here, and with Cattershaw.
My father? And with Cattershaw?
Yes, he wants you particularly.
So does she.
But he's married now.
But bless my heart, what's that got to do with anything?
Cattershaw claims me in marriage, but I can't marry her because I'm married already. Consequently, she will insist on my execution, and if I am executed, my wife will have to be buried alive.
You see our difficulty.
Well, but yes, I quite see that, but I don't know what's to be done.